The economic stability of North America is in jeopardy. A trade war is brewing. At stake is the well-being of 380 million people. From bustling cities to quiet towns, the impact will be felt by all. Higher prices, job losses, and economic uncertainty loom. The current situation is a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of the global economy. What began as targeted tariffs has quickly escalated into a full-blown trade war. The consequences of this economic conflict are far-reaching. The average citizen now faces the very real possibility of a lower standard of living. Essential goods and services are becoming increasingly expensive. The dream of homeownership is slipping away for many. The trade war is not just a theoretical debate, it's a crisis hitting home. The future remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the stakes are incredibly high. The decisions made by leaders in the coming days and weeks will have a profound impact on the lives of millions. The hope is that dialogue and diplomacy will prevail, leading to a swift resolution of this damaging trade war. The opening salvo in this trade war was fired by the United States. New tariffs were placed on a wide range of imports from Canada and Mexico. These tariffs, essentially taxes on imported goods, are designed to make foreign products more expensive. The stated goal of these tariffs is to protect American jobs and industries. The Trump administration argues that unfair trade practices by Canada and Mexico have put American workers at a disadvantage. The impact of these tariffs was immediate. Canadian lumber, Mexican steel, and a host of other products became more expensive for American consumers. Businesses, forced to pay more for raw materials, began raising prices. The Trump administration's decision to impose tariffs was met with criticism from economists and business leaders. They argued that tariffs would harm the American economy by raising prices for consumers and businesses. Despite the warnings, the tariffs remained in place. The Trump administration doubled down on its protectionist policies, signaling a hardening of its stance on trade. Canada, long considered a close ally and trading partner of the United States, responded swiftly to the tariffs. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau condemned the tariffs as unjust and harmful. Trudeau's government announced retaliatory tariffs on a range of American goods, including steel, aluminum, and agricultural products. These tariffs were carefully calibrated to target industries and communities that would feel the pain and put pressure on the Trump administration. The Canadian government also launched a public relations campaign aimed at highlighting the close ties between the two countries and the economic damage being caused by the tariffs. Public opinion in Canada hardened against the United States. Many Canadians felt betrayed by their closest ally. The long-standing friendship between the two countries was strained. Canada's response to the tariffs demonstrated that it was willing to stand up to the United States and defend its economic interests. The message was clear: Canada would not be bullied. One of the most immediate and tangible impacts of the trade war has been rising prices for consumers. The tariffs, imposed on a wide range of goods, have rippled through the economy, driving up the cost of everything from groceries to cars. Gasoline prices, already on the rise, have surged even higher as tariffs on Canadian oil and gas take effect. Consumers are feeling the pinch at the pump, with some areas seeing increases of up to 40 cents per gallon. The cost of groceries has also been impacted as tariffs on Mexican produce and Canadian agricultural products drive up prices. Consumers are now paying more for everyday staples like avocados, tomatoes, and beef. The auto industry has been particularly hard hit, with prices for both new and used cars rising sharply. Tariffs on steel and aluminum have increased the cost of production for automakers, who have passed these costs on to consumers in the form of higher prices. The rising cost of living is putting a strain on household budgets, forcing families to cut back on spending and dip into savings. For many, the trade war is no longer an abstract political debate, it's a financial reality. Section 5. Industries in the crosshairs. The trade war is not just impacting consumers, it's also having a devastating effect on businesses across North America. Certain industries, heavily reliant on cross-border trade, are finding themselves caught in the crossfire, facing an existential threat. The auto industry, a major employer in both the United States and Canada, is reeling from the tariffs. The complex supply chains that have long defined the industry have been disrupted, leading to higher costs and production delays. American refineries, many of which rely on Canadian crude oil, are facing a similar predicament. The tariffs on Canadian oil have forced them to pay more for raw materials, squeezing their profit margins. Some refineries have been forced to cut production or even shut down entirely. The agriculture industry is also feeling the pain. American farmers who rely heavily on exports to Canada and Mexico are facing retaliatory tariffs on products like soybeans, corn, and pork. These tariffs are making American agricultural products less competitive in the global market, leading to a glut of unsold goods. The trade war is threatening to undo decades of economic integration in North America. Businesses, large and small, are being forced to adapt to a new reality, one marked by uncertainty and instability. The escalating trade war has sparked a war of words between the leaders of the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Diplomatic efforts to resolve the dispute have stalled, with each side blaming the other for the impasse. President Trump, the architect of the tariffs, has remained defiant, arguing that his America First policies are necessary to protect American jobs and industries. He has dismissed concerns about the economic impact of the tariffs, claiming that any short-term pain will be outweighed by the long-term benefits. Prime Minister Trudeau has emerged as a vocal critic of the tariffs, accusing the Trump administration of engaging in protectionism and isolationism. He has vowed to defend Canadian interests and has called on the United States to reconsider its actions. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has taken a more measured approach, urging dialogue and diplomacy to resolve the dispute. However, he has also made it clear that Mexico will not hesitate to retaliate if necessary. The clash between these leaders reflects the deep divisions that have emerged over trade policy. The rhetoric has become increasingly heated, raising concerns that the situation could spiral further out of control. The uncertainty surrounding the trade war has sent shockwaves through global financial markets. Investors, unnerved by the prospect of a protracted trade conflict, have been selling off stocks and other assets, leading to sharp declines in major stock indexes. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, a key barometer of the American stock market, has plummeted over 600 points since the tariffs were announced. Other major indexes, including the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq Composite, have also experienced significant declines. The sell-off has been driven by fears that the trade war will damage the global economy. Investors are concerned that the tariffs will lead to higher prices, reduced consumer spending, and slower economic growth. The Federal Reserve, the Central Bank of the United States, is closely monitoring the situation and has hinted that it may cut interest rates in an effort to stimulate the economy. However, it is unclear whether such measures will be enough to offset the negative impact of the trade war. The turmoil in the financial markets is a clear indication of the economic damage being caused by the trade war. Investors are losing confidence and the global economy is teetering on the brink of a downturn. The current trade war is not without precedent. History is replete with examples of trade disputes that have had devastating consequences for the global economy. The most infamous example is the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930. Passed by the United States Congress in the midst of the Great Depression, the Smoot-Hawley Act raised tariffs on over 20,000 imported goods to record levels. The goal was to protect American jobs and industries from foreign competition. However, the act backfired spectacularly. Other countries retaliated with tariffs of their own, leading to a global trade war. World trade plummeted, exacerbating the Great Depression and prolonging the global economic crisis. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of protectionism. It is a stark reminder that tariffs, while perhaps tempting in the short term, can have devastating long-term consequences. The current trade war, while still in its early stages, has the potential to inflict similar damage on the global economy. The lessons of history are clear. Protectionism is a dangerous path that leads to economic ruin. The current trade war is a lose-lose situation for all involved. It is time for leaders on all sides to step back from the brink and engage in constructive dialogue. The stakes are simply too high to allow this dispute to spiral further out of control. The economic damage being caused by the tariffs is real and growing. Consumers are facing higher prices, businesses are struggling to adapt, and the global economy is at risk. The longer this trade war continues, the more difficult it will be to repair the damage. It is time for cooler heads to prevail. A negotiated solution is the only way to end this trade war and ensure the economic well-being of the 380 million people who depend on a stable and prosperous North America. The path forward is clear: dialogue, diplomacy, and a commitment to free and fair trade. The alternative is a trade war that benefits no one and harms everyone. The choice is ours.